We're at the Ridglea Giving Garden here on the west side of Fort Worth. It is a non-profit garden that produces all year and donates to 2 food pantries on the west side of Fort Worth. It is one day after Christmas, so it's December. It's an oddly very hot and warm day today, but it's been cold and it's going to get cold again in the next week. But they're still growing, we're still growing, and so we're going to take a little winter tour of the garden and see what we can grow and how we can grow it. All right, so let's get started. We're starting with our row cropped area, so our in-ground growing. Our first bed, right up against the street, is we got lots of stuff growing. So we got some perennial strawberries or biennial strawberries growing on the outside. And then in between those strawberries is our garlic. We got a soft neck variety, and we're just for the heck of it trying a hard neck variety as well. But soft necks do a lot better here in Texas in our warmer climate. And then all in between that in the rows are our Bloomsdale spinach. This was planted back in, all of this was planted back in October. And so we just started getting our first harvest within, the last week or so. The strawberries will start producing more into early spring, like March, maybe late February, and then garlic will probably wait till May or even June before we start harvesting these guys. In between here is we have drip irrigation, so no overhead unless we are direct seeding our plants, and then we'll do some overhead till they start to germinate. Our next area is we have our lettuces that we're growing. So we started these indoors by seed, and we transplanted them within the last 2 weeks or so. Lettuces, and then we got a mustard here. So our mustards have been growing since late summertime. They were also transplants, and they're starting to bolt. So we got a few last harvests with them going. We got our lettuces all throughout the rest of this bed, and again on drip irrigation. The only inputs we're using here are compost, an organic fertilizer called Texas Tea. We'll also do a spray with some Garrett juice. On the outside of that lettuce bed with the mustards is we're growing also our collard greens here. They do really well in the wintertime. And right next to that is we have a little bit of winter boar kale. This is our favorite. It's like a curly leaf kale. On the other side of that winter boar kale bed is our Bloomsdale spinach. So this was started a month later. So in November, we started this spinach. And it's just now getting to the point where you can start harvesting some baby spinach. We won't, we'll let it keep going. And some of it is just started popping up and putting on its true leaves. And so spinach is kind of tricky. You really got to make sure the soil temperature and the moisture is good for it to germinate. It gets so hot here. It can be hot even through October, which it was this year. And so our germination rate on spinach, especially in that bed, was pretty spotty. This one was next in early November when it was still kind of warm, but the rain started to come. But the temperatures dropped and you can see a better germination rate, and you can see more popping up right now. This next bed is we have some more mature collard greens. So these were seeded inside in trays in early August, and then they were transplanted in September. So we've been harvesting them. When the leaves get to about the size of my hand is when we'll take them. When we harvest, we're doing about a third or to half of the plant and leaving a lot of the smaller foliage to get bigger so that we can harvest next week or the week after. And we'll be doing that, through fall and then wintertime and then into springtime until the harlequin beetles and the aphids basically take them out. But it's a good sign to then start planting some other plants like our cucumbers and tomatoes and peppers. And then just to fill in, so here in Texas we get late freezes. We can get them usually mid-November, and so a lot of the stuff's pretty young even in December because we had peppers and tomatoes and cucumbers throughout that time. So we have some baby plants here that were transplanted a few weeks ago and just been kind of slow with the lack of light and also the cold temperatures. But we got some little collards here. We have some winter boar kale, collards, so a lot of collards, and they're planted really close together just because we'll lose some. So we started a lot in trays, so we planted them pretty close, and over time the ones that make it, we'll thin them out as they get bigger and take up more space. We have more mustard greens, more mustards, more mustards, some winter boar kale, collards, and then some lettuces at the end, right over here. Here's the last bed of spinach that we planted. This was in November when temperatures really started cooling off, and then we got some more rain. It's still spotty in some areas and it's just popping up, but the germination rate is much better when you get those cool temperatures. And consistent watering is our only issue. So we're not here every day, so it's hard to overhead water and make sure that the soil is moist enough and that soil temperature is cool enough. Our temperatures swing so much in Texas, but this is about 30 feet of spinach, which is quite a bit. We love doing spinach because it's one of the hardiest plants to do. One of the hardiest greens in the wintertime. We do have our frost cloth. So this is like a blanket that'll protect from the frost when it gets really cold. So with spinach, it can get down to 30 degrees and it'll be fine uncovered. We'll still cover it though if there's like some moisture in the air with that frost. But it really can withstand quite a beating. But once it gets below that 30 degrees, we'll actually put some metal hoops in here, and then we'll throw the cloth over to keep that frost off and try to keep it the temperature a little bit higher than outside of the blanket. We just planted carrots, and so you can see them just popping up. So carrots, like spinach, they like cooler temperatures, and they like a lot of moisture. So really watering every single day till they're germinating. They can take up to 4 weeks to germinate. These guys have taken about 2 weeks, just because it's been cold and it's been hot and it's been dry. But, even though the package says like 50 days, 60 days, the reality is, since we have less light and it gets colder, and plants can't access nutrients as well in the cold weather, these carrots can take 80, 90 days before we harvest them. We got lots of buckets, so anything that we can put soil in and that we can grow in, we're doing that. So we're trying to take up as much space and try to grow as much as we can in our area. And so in these beds, or these buckets, we got our lettuces. These are transplants. These are going to be head lettuces again. So we're taking the whole plant, we're letting it grow. We're investing a little bit more time and energy into growing these guys as heads, and we'll take the entire head and bag it up and donate them to the local food pantries. We got more lettuces here, more lettuces there, a lot of cinnamon blocks. And then we do have strawberries in our buckets. We are planning on transplanting these guys in some actual beds. We have space in that far bed with all the strawberries in there. We'll probably do that at some point. But again, we plant these guys, so they're going in their second season. We're treating them like biennials. A lot of farmers in Texas, because it's hard to do strawberries, they'll plant in October, they'll harvest in the springtime, and then they'll get rid of them, and then they'll do a new crop the next October. It's just tough. Our summers are just tough here. But these guys survive the summer in buckets, which is kind of amazing. Things have a harder time. The buckets just don't hold as much water. That soil temperature gets real hot too in these black buckets. Here's a big bed, a raised bed from Vigo. So Vigo, we ordered a 4-pack. These are 3 of the 32-inch high beds put together. And so what's nice about Vigo is you can mix and match. You can make different shapes with the beds that you get. We made one really, really long, big bed, kind of like a row bed, in-ground bed. just up higher. And so a lot of us, we can still bend down, we can still access those in-ground row crops pretty well. But for some volunteers, it's harder to bend down. And so this 32-inch high makes it really easy to plant in and harvest in. And so we grow mostly just greens in this bed right here. It's really easy to get drip irrigation in. You just run 3 or 4 drip tapes through, and it gets the whole bed. But we have Tokyo Bacana, which is a cabbage, but we direct seed all of this, and we just cover the bed as best we can. Some high school volunteers did this, and so it's a little splotchy in some areas. But instead of letting this head up like our lettuces that we're heading up, we're growing a carpet of greens. And what we'll do is when it's young, like this, or even younger than this, we'll like mow it all down and bag it all up. It's like a salad mix. And then leave about an inch that we didn't cut from the roots. And then next week or the week after, it'll regenerate, put on that new foliage, some baby greens, and we'll cut it again. And we could do, you know, up to 5 cuttings. We could do more if the temperature and the weather's cooperating, if it doesn't get too hot or too cold. Or we can clean it and we can reseed. And they germinate really well. And it doesn't take very long till you get baby greens that you can harvest again. So we got Tokyo Bacana. We have a spicy salad mix, cheap frills. A lot of mustards in here, so it has a little bit of a spice there. Some splotchy areas. We just transplanted some extra lettuces. And then we have arugula right in here. Some really nice arugula. We have some more Vigo beds. So we're doing, I think this is the 17-inch. And we have, again, Tokyo Bacana, we have salad mix and arugula. And we'll actually just all bag this up together as like a spicy salad mix that we'll then donate. Same thing up here, or not same thing, we have cheap thrills. We like cheap thrills. And then we have snap peas. And the snap peas is a nice winter pea that can take some cooler temperatures. Once it gets really cold, it'll struggle. But you can plant these in late fall, early spring. You can plant them in wintertime and grow them just like we have. It's a bit of a gamble, but they look really nice. If it gets to those temperatures that kind of scare us, we can harvest all of this and do pea shoots, which is just really great in Asian cuisines, and donate those as well. And then we have our little trellises for the snap peas. And over here, we do have overhead over here, overhead watering. This is a little area that belongs to a school garden company called Made Green. This is their professional development learning garden. So they bring educators from different ISDs, independent school districts, out. I think they've had over 13 independent school district educators come out, including Fort Worth ISD. And this is just a good place to kind of show people what you can do with a garden, how you can grow a garden, but more importantly, what kind of activities you can do with different age groups to get kids outside. Thanks for watching. That was part 1. It's only half of the garden, so we're going to have a video coming out shortly to show you part 2. But till then, thank you for watching. Get out and garden, and bye.